In today's episode, the Mk1 Ford Capri, the car you always promise yourself. Hello, welcome back to Quarterlight. Quarterlight, if you don't know, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube, looking at car brochures from around the world, like this one, for the early Mk1 Ford Capri. We have looked at this brochure a long time ago, though. It was years and years ago, and we've changed how we do things, so let's revisit this very interesting brochure. So here is today's brochure, and I don't believe this one's actually dated, but I think it's right from the beginning of when the Capri came out in Mk1, guys. The Ford Capri Mk1 ran from 1969 to 1974. There was a bit of a facelift though in 1971, and this is before that, so let's just say this is from right at the beginning when they were promoting it as Capri, the car you always promise yourself. Let's just zoom in a little bit further. Lovely silver example here on the front cover. I always liked the actual styling of the Mk1. Of course, it wasn't a hatchback at this time, it was a boot, but I liked all this extra sort of styling on that. It's something, so it looks something special, but of course, you could order these with tiny little engines in them. A bit of a sheep in wolf's clothing in many ways, unless you got the larger engined ones. I like this brochure because it introduces sort of packages, and you think, packages for cars is something, like a modern idea, but all the way back in 69 they had packages for the Capri. We'll look at that in a moment. We'll open the brochure up though, and this brochure is something quite common in late 60s, or the 60s and early 70s I should say, in that it's actually a fold out style, so it eventually becomes kind of like a poster. So it opens up and then we open it to make an even bigger brochure. But what we'll do, I'll reposition this because it's about to fall down. We'll look at this section and then we'll open it out even further. So yes, that gives you a little bit of a better idea how it looks when it's folded fully out, to make a really tall brochure. Text is quite big for a brochure actually. We'll go through the text, then we'll come back to these images, and then we'll open the brochure out fully. So it begins by telling us the Capri is one of those cars. The kind you always promise yourself if you ever had the money. Of course, we realise the shape isn't entirely new. Some of the better known Italian sports models have had something like it before. What is new is that we produced a car like the Capri at a price you can think about paying. The car itself is a genuine fastback that handles like a sports car, with enough room inside for 4 adult-sized adults to really spread themselves out. But even though it's as roomy as most family runabouts, the person who's really going to get a kick out of the Capri is the driver, because Capri is very much a driver's car, right down to the low, relaxed, straight arm driving position. There are 5 engines to choose from: 1300, 1600, 1300 GT, 1600 GT and 2000 GT. So you can pick the kind of performance that suits you. We've also invented a scheme whereby you can tailor your car to meet your own personal requirements. We call it the Capri Custom Plan. Depending on which Capri you choose, there's a custom plan that enables you to add to the outside, the inside, even improve on comfort, so that in the end you don't just get the car you've always promised yourself at a price you can afford. You can virtually get it made to measure. So yeah, quite innovative, the idea of having these packs, and when we open the brochure out fully, it actually goes through the packs you can actually choose from to, as it says, try and personalise the car you get in. Interesting early Capri there on the main image, in quite an unusual shade of green actually. Now if we move to the smaller images, the first picture I guess is kind of showing you that adults can actually fit in the back. And then if we move along, some nice little images. Firstly, the rear lights, which were very small lights actually at this time. Look at the front lights and a bit of a glimpse on the interior. And then an unusual glimpse at this sort of like driving position, really showing you, this is a car for a driver is how they're trying to promote it. And then when you open the brochure out fully, we can get this sort of like poster style, pretty huge sheet of paper. And this is where it's going to go through all the different packs you can get, like Capri Custom Pack L, Capri Custom Pack R, Capri Custom Pack X. We'll start at the top now, see how it's describing this, then we'll come and have a look, a bit of an investigation about these packs that it's talking about. Main heading is how to order your personal version of the Capri. So it starts by telling us, like we said, the idea behind the Capri is that you have much more say in what goes in and on your car. Engine options. The first decision you have to make is which engine you want fitted. 1300, 1600, 1300 GT, 1600 GT or 2000 GT. The basic engine we've used is our own race and rally proven cross floor head ball and piston engine with a 5 main bearing crankshaft. The 1300 and 1600 units are the inline engines that have powered us to 25 national championships and over 500 separate victories. The 2000 GT is developed a version of our V4 units which broke 13 international speed records on just one outing. Once you've settled the question of how fast or slow you're going to go, you can get busy with the Capri custom plans. They're all shown here and the contents are down in detail. It goes on to tell us we ought also to mention that we've got together some very tasteful individual options, including the latest automatic transmission with floor mounted T-bar shift. Capri, we don't want you to get the idea that because there are so many things you can do in this car, it isn't quite finished when it comes to you. The Capri is a very sumptuous motor car. As it stands, roomy, comfortable, carpeted wall to wall, fully instrumentated, packed with safety features and with handling and road holding, the like of which you've never known, unless you happen to drive for a living, and we don't mean buses. Capri GT. There are a number of differences between this and the Capri, the most obvious being the uprated engine package and radial ply tyres. But on the inside you'll find the gear shift is gated and mounted on a centre console unit. GT instrumentation features a rev counter and oil pressure gauge. You get a vanity mirror, a clock and a cigar lighter. And if you decide to go for the 1600 GT or 2000 GT engine, the brakes will be servo assisted and you'll get a close ratio gearbox as standard too. Those are the cars, the engines, the Capri custom plans. We just hope that making decisions comes easily to you. And then some of the imagery. So the main image is just the shell of the car, I think, giving you, or trying to give you the idea that, this is how it is, and then you add the custom plans, which is a little bit misleading, but still, the custom plans or the different trim levels you can choose from are interesting. So it starts here with a more basic one, the L, so Capri Custom Plan L. Plan L is the exterior kit and it's designed for both the Capri and the Capri GT. The full contents comprise exhaust trim, locking fuel cap, wheel trims, bodyside mouldings, dummy air scoops and overriders on both the front and rear bumpers. And then we've got the images to kind of like match with what you get in there. Nice wheel trim there. The overriders, etc. So that is plan L, but of course we can move up. So let's move to plan R. Actually, I've actually moved to plan X first because it kind of like fits better with the wording of it. It tells us this is the major interior kit, and once again, It's for both the Capri and the Capri GT. With this one, you get fully reclining front seats, separate contoured rear seats with a folding centre armrest, a day-night interior mirror, dual horns, a parking brake warning lamp, reversing lights and additional interior light. You can, of course, combine both plans to get the X and the L. So you get plan L and then you say you want plan X and then you get a Capri XL, I think is what it's trying to say there. So it goes with this custom plan. I'm just going to move the camera down manually so you can see the rest. Like so. So now let's get to that plan R. So R is kind of like the sporty one. Plan R has been specially designed for GT cars. It contains sculptured road wheels, leather rimmed sport steering wheel, quartz halogen fog pass lamps with protecting covers, body side mouldings, a map reading lamp, a matte black radiator grille and a special sports paint scheme in sub-gloss black. If you don't want the special paint scheme, we don't mind if you opt out. You'll still get the black grille though. And if you really want to go the whole hog, you can put all the three plans together so you end up with everything and an XLR badge on the side of your car. So imagery, a little bit of look at the wheels there and that sort of blacked area at the back of the R plan, showing you the black bonnet that you can get, although it's like it says, it tells you don't have to have that. Map reading light, and look at the steering wheel and the gauges, and then a little bit of look at that black grille. And then turn to the back page, a little bit of a conclusion there. It talks about the Capri selection chart, which is here. So we'll have a look at this back page and let's understand why some of these are coloured in red. So first of all, it starts here with Ford prices or delivered prices. The recommended Ford prices include delivery to Ford dealerships throughout the UK except Northern Ireland. These prices are therefore not directly comparable with those issued by motor manufacturers, who also levy on additional delivery charges. The illustrations are specifications presented in and with this publication were true and accurate at time of printing. You should, however, check details with your dealer, as there may have been specification and appearance changes in view of Ford policy of continuous improvement. The right is reserved to change specifications, price and colours. In accordance with statutory regulations, front seat belts are fitted at extra cost. Inertia reel seat belts are available at extra cost. A product of Ford Motor Company Limited, Worley, Essex, England, published by Car Advertising and Sales Promotion Department. And then we get back to these plans and how we can put them together. So the Capri selection chart, it says with 26 basic derivatives to choose from, deciding on the one you want is no easy task. So to help you, we have a team of experts go through the list and select what they reckon to be the best value for money combination of car, engine and Capri custom plan. The ones they selected are indicated by the colour panels on the selection chart. That doesn't mean that others aren't available, just that we're having to supply them on special request. We've decided to major on the ones the experts selected because we want you to have the best, which you'll agree is only right when the car you're buying is the car you've always promised yourself. So they put these together, and this is all the models you can choose from basically, but it's saying the red ones are the ones that Ford is claiming are the best value, and obviously the salespeople are going to direct you towards the red ones, saying the others, we can still get the others, no problem at all, but they're a special request. So no doubt these white ones would have a long waiting list. I don't believe that it's got anything to do with whatever the best values are. it's more to do with production, isn't it, and the vehicles that they've got ready for us, because there is so much choice. So an interesting concept that they've got all these models, but you can't necessarily get them all as quickly as some of the others. Anyway, let's have a look at the models. So obviously you've got the 5 engine sizes going up there, so the 1300, 1600, 1300 GT, 1600 GT and 2000 GT. So that is your engine choices, and then you've got these packs, starting with the very basic, just a 1300L, moving up to 1600L, moving up to a 1300 GTL. Tell us they're good value for money. Obviously they're going to be cheaper than these ones up here, but it's kind of steering you away from getting a 1600 GT or a 2000 GT that's just L spec. So that's interesting. And then if we move along, it's basically telling us if we just want the X pack, don't get it because it's not good value for money, and you might have to wait for it. So that would be an interesting model, wouldn't it? A 1300X. I guess they'll probably be pretty rare models, the ones in white. And then moving along, we've got the more pricier examples, moving all the way up to the top right, where you could get a 2000 GT XLR, the fancy one, I guess. And then it basically finishes at the bottom here telling us Capri, the car you always promise yourself, and a little Ford badge. So I think this is probably one of the most memorable and possibly most successful taglines, going all the way back to late 60s. Capri, the car you always promise yourself. It's a lot of, it's the one that really is memorable, and people used to quote this even on like Mark III's and things, but it was never used again later on. In fact, even by the sort of early 70s, they kind of like changed that tagline to Capri, the car that keeps its promise. But like I say, certainly a very memorable tagline and a good bit of marketing. But there you go, the Mark I Ford Capri, an interesting brochure that introduces these packs. I think someone came up with quite a clever little idea to make you feel like he was personalising your car, when really he wasn't really, but it was a clever marketing idea. But thank you so much for watching today. Share your memories, please, of Ford Capris throughout the generations. And we'll end, as we always do, by saying, if you've not done already, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free and keeps you in touch with the channel. You can now also become a member for a very small monthly fee, and there's 3 different levels you can choose from, although you get the same for each level. So if you're unsure, just choose that lower level. You'll still get the same advantages. The higher levels are really if you wanted to help the channel even further. I'll now add a couple of boxes over here, which will be for other episodes that we've done in the past. But thank you so much for watching today. Please do take care. We'll see you very soon. All the best and goodbye.